it's just not realistic. You know, we got to pay our bills and we both have to work. But I really do think
that's like the biggest cope. We have to pay for your expensive habits. Like, that's really what it comes down to. I don't think kids are that expensive. Maybe, I think I might be humbled. When I talk to the women, it's like, oh, these kids are so expensive, da 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 da. When I talk to the men, it's like, yeah, not really. What up, guys? Welcome to my reaction series. My name is Pearl, and today I'm gonna be reacting to Megyn Kelly. I'm talking to Anna Kasparian about not understanding why men don't want a working woman. So here's the thing, women go through life, especially female commentators, we have a tendency to be very what they call out of touch. And the reason we're out of touch is because this is such an easy, awesome job that we often think we work harder than we do, because a lot of the reason we're where we're at is because of beauty. And a lot of female commentators slept with someone to get where they're at. And Megyn Kelly, did have a sexual harassment lawsuit against Fox, and you guys know what that means. Okay, so we're gonna watch Megyn Kelly and Anna Kasparian talk here.
Viral video, I'm sure you saw it going around on the internet. I saw it on X, but I'm sure it's on Insta and TikTok and all of them, of this liberal woman who says she broke up with her boyfriend over politics. And this has engendered so many strong feelings in the comments section. Wherever it gets posted, here's a bit of it in SOT 38.
So I am obviously, like, very much, everyone knows that I'm a liberal woman. My brother's gay, all my friends are gay, also like abortion rights, female rights, but anyways, so I would always ask him, I'd be like, what's...
So again, women have a tendency, we think that our politics makes us a better or worse person. Men don't think like that. They think your character, the way you treat people, they don't necessarily think it's your politics, right? But women, we don't want to do the work of being like a nice person. And so we have a tendency to use politics to do that.
What's your politics? Like, where do you lean? And he was just like, well, like, socially, I'm a liberal, but economically, I'm a Republican. Fuck that. Okay, fuck this. This is my last straw. Again, I'm a very liberal woman.
And the guy was probably like, thank God. She was gonna go nuts if I dumped her. He probably was like, thank God, this is amazing.
I have to date someone that is on the same page as me, because I can't disagree with someone on something that is so important to me for the rest of my life. I fully respect Republicans. I understand that you want to vote that way, but for me, I don't want to marry you and I don't want to date you. So we ended it. And no regrets. I've been single ever since. It was awesome. It's been awesome.
Like virtually every man I follow on X had the same response. Dodged a bullet there, man. Congrats. Mm-hmm. Can I just, before we get to the substance of I won't date a guy who doesn't share my politics, she's extremely unlikable. She's caustic. She's smug. She said there's an arrogance to her. Like, it's my way or the highway. I know better. I mean, you're disgusting because you don't agree with me politically. Like, there's a disdain, even though, half the country disagrees with her politically. A lot of really good, beautiful people disagree with her politically. Why is that associated so often with these liberal women who do these posts on social media?
Well, I have seen a lot of posts like that. But look, I'm just going to say she seems to know herself and what she wants really well. And she's going for it, so go for it. I actually don't have any ill feelings toward her at all because she's determined. I'm unwilling to move even an inch on my politics. But I do agree that she might be closing herself off to individuals that would be wonderful for her, including her now ex-boyfriend, because people change, people grow, and they shift their positions on issues here and there. I think it's wrong to think that someone's political identity can't be fluid. I think it's fluid to some extent. What I find really interesting is that he agreed with her on social issues, and the agreement on social issues, it's what's really likely to lead to a smoother relationship. If he's more fiscally conservative, I don't think that's necessarily something that should be a deal breaker.
I'll tell you something, though. I'll tell you something right now, Anna. He didn't agree with her on social issues. It was a lie.
Probably.
If he's fiscally conservative, he's not in today's social environment, maybe like the social environment of 15 years ago where the big thing was like gay marriage. You could be like a pro-choice, pro-gay marriage Republican. like a Rudy Giuliani.
Right.
But there is zero chance in today's day and age somebody who says they're fiscally conservative is actually socially liberal too. I don't believe it. So she was right that they had vast differences. I just find her so disdainful and unlikable. And women like that are giving like my liberal friends a bad name because she's so nasty and seems to be like playing fast and loose with this guy's feelings, like he's a nothing to her just because he has different politics. All right, one more for you on the culture front. And this is another woman, and this is gonna take us to a place that I've really been dying to discuss. This is a woman named Paige Connell. She's a TikTok mom influencer, and she decided to post a very long. I gave this woman 5 minutes of my life, which I'll never get back.
That's how I feel after a lot of these.
It was all about how she's a working mom. Her husband works too. They have kids. She's very, very unsatisfied with the amount, or was, of housework and support he was bringing to the home, and she really had to lecture him into doing more, and then was extremely disappointed when he did not live up to like her expectations. Let me play what we have of it. South 39.
My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. And on paper, I have an amazing husband, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And about 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets. I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. So we did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And it can hurt your relationship. It can ruin your marriage if you do not participate in an equitable way in your home.
Here's the thing that most men I follow on Twitter are responding to on X. They're offended that a wife would post a diss video about her husband on the internet in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, look, I have a broader point to make about that culture, and it goes well beyond wives posting about their husbands. Please stop airing your dirty laundry on social media. Honestly, have a little bit of respect, a modicum of respect for the people in your personal life, even if you're in the middle of a feud with them. How about respect their privacy and work it out privately? You don't need a bunch of random strangers chiming in on your relationship. I would never in a million years do that to my husband or my friends or to my colleagues, which has been done to me many, many times. I think it's disgusting. It shows a lack of maturity. Have the conversation privately. Work out your own drama and your own issues privately. So that's point number one. Point number 2 is, look, a marriage, as I'm sure you know, it's a partnership. And I think when you fail to see it as a partnership and you instead kind of like tally who's doing what and whether or not you're, pulling your weight or he's pulling his weight, that's just a toxic environment to function in, to have a relationship in. And so I learned that lesson pretty early on in my marriage. I remember in the very beginning, it was like, okay, he's got his bank account, I've got my bank account, and he's going to pay these bills, I'm going to pay those bills. For some marriages, that works out. But I remember, Cenk Uygur, my co-host and the founder of the Young Turks, he kind of pulled me aside and said, you're kind of paving a path to a lot of conflict here. You have to see your marriage as a partnership and don't think of it as his money versus my money. And honestly, that was the best advice I ever got in my marriage. And we do really well together. And I don't, he's not keeping track of whether I'm pulling my weight. I'm not keeping track of whether he's pulling his weight. We have mutual love and mutual respect for each other, and we look out for each other. That's in my opinion, a successful marriage.
It reminds me of not your particular example, but remember the Joy Luck Club? The Joy Luck Club, where one of the 4 women, it's all about these 4 moms and then their next gen coming up and the lives that all 8 women are leading. And the one daughter of the mom is in a marriage where the guy makes her write down if she ate the tub of ice cream that was in the freezer, because it's going to come off of her share of the grocery money. She ate the ice cream, and that's $4 that she now owes. It was so, it's abusive, really, is what it is. It's abusive.
See, this is, again, any behavior women don't like, they label as abusive. It could be annoying, right? But ladies, let's be honest, we haven't done anything annoying. that the guys could say is abusive, right? You know, so I want to get to, I think there's going to be a clip that's coming in a bit where they talk about men not wanting a working woman. So we're going to get to it.
Abusive. But I do think there's something happening with men and women in, you know, on the conservative side of the aisle that's a little upsetting to me right now. And that is like, as we have bent over backwards as conservatives or, you know, right-leaning people to make clear to women that they don't have to, quote, have it all, that like if they don't want to work outside of the home and they want to be stay-at-home wives or stay-at-home moms too, like doing it all, that's a totally amazing choice. And no one should look down on it. It's the most important job in the world. It's literally the most important job in the world to be a mother and to raise good children. But like so many things, we overcorrect. We do it on the right. The left does it too.
So when women say we got to meet in the middle, that means I want to control the message in the exact way. When we say we're going too far, now we're going too far to the right. That's them tone policing, right? So they're going to come back and they're going to tone police. So next, so here's the thing about Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly had a career at Fox News. Now, as you guys know, in the female conservative commentator life cycle, what they tend to do is they tend to go into a male industry, but still demand to be treated like women. Oftentimes they use their beauty and their sexuality to get ahead. Sometimes just beauty, right? You can't be a fat slob and be a conservative commentator. Not usually anyways, especially a female. A guy maybe, but a female, like I think Chank is a bigger dude. But as a woman, no, you can't do it. But what happens is the women, they get this ego boost, right? Because they think it's their talent. And sure, you know, women are somewhat talented, but both of these women are cute. They're both Woods, right? Wood, you know, they're pretty, for their age, like Wood, right? For most men. So, but they start to think it's how amazing, special, and awesome they are. Now, Megyn Kelly, I believe, did sue Fox News. And so probably what I would guess happened is she slept with someone there to get ahead, and then it was found out. Now she's got to sue and say it was harassment. I don't know. That's my speculation. Okay. Speculative, but that's usually how it goes when a woman sues. Okay.
And what's happening right now on the right to some extent is it's morphing into, and there's something wrong with somebody who works and the women who work. Yeah.
So now the men are, so these women oftentimes, they've never really heard or cared about what their husbands want. And do you know what? Men, it's not they necessarily want a woman who doesn't work, because there's a lot of men that don't want the legal risk. And you do, if the woman earns similar, that can be a benefit. I know men, that's something that they want. Like they only want kids with women with money. They don't want lifetime alimony. They're done. But in terms of money, it brings nothing to a relationship other than taking down, I guess, risk, you could say, in a relationship for the guy, right? But a lot of times what happens is the female conservative commentator, we're just praised 24/7. Like men can pick up garbage off the road. They can build the buildings, pave the roads. You guys never get praise. You'll post an Instagram of your day. You'll get like one like. But women, we get likes for just existing. We get attention. We walk into a bar having accomplished nothing. We'll still be the center of the attention. It just is what it is, right? But what happens is some women know, okay, it's just because I'm a woman. Other women believe it feeds their ego, right? And so they've never really had to pay attention to what men want, right? They've never had to do the hard stuff.
Are less attractive and not good partners. And
they're also not used to, people are starting to see through the bullshit, right? So if you're a conservative commentator woman and you're going on different shows every other week, we all know you're not watching your kids. Someone else it's either your husband or someone else that you hired. And people are kind of wising up and realizing these people aren't really good parents. The kids get older, they start talking, but the women aren't used to being called out on this. And so Megyn Kelly, she's kind of gotten away with this her whole career. And now it's time where reality is going to hit.
Also, if you choose to work in like your 20s and your 30s, and spend a lot of time at the office, you're effing up your whole life. You're not going to meet a man and you're not going to have a kid.
That's not true at all. There's always somebody, right? I will never, I think that women can find husbands at 55. Now, I know you think I'm nuts, but I know women that have done it. Now, it's totally the exception. It's not the rule. But in my opinion, it's just because it's like, if I have a 50-year-old woman, she still gets so much male attention from the men in like their 70s or 80s. Like it just keeps going older. Now, obviously it's less, right? They get uglier or whatever. But my point is, like, there's always somebody that'll do it. Now, the challenge is more their personality. I mean, and looks, right? You can get away with more the better looking you are. But usually the women will just eliminate the guys for no reason too. So it's like, so I'm not one to say no one will do it. Someone will always do it.
Even though that's not necessarily true. It's much easier to meet somebody and have a baby in your 20s because you're young and you got your totally golden eggs. But so many women have kids in their 30s. I mean,
it's going to be the norm, right? That's where the trends are going. It's just going to get older and older and older. But this is kind of how it's going to go. So women are going to be sold. They're going to be young forever. Right now we're getting marketing that we can have kids in our 40s, right? And in a way, with money, we have beat biology. When I found out the IVF stats, I couldn't actually believe it, because a woman in her 20s, every cycle, it's like 25% chance of getting pregnant if you shoot up in the club when she's ovulating. I guess during IVF, it's 50%. So if you have money, now the difference is you get 12 tries a year with like a 20-year-old. With the 35-year-old, it's money every single time. And most of you guys are not cash cows. You don't want to spend, I think it's like 10K a round. So who wants to spend 30K on a kid? A lot of men do it, right? But for every 10 women that are sold that dream, maybe 3 will get it, let's say. And in their 40s, maybe 2 will get it. But the 2 that get it, and it's going to be way more than happened in the past, right? Because there's so much money that's going to be invested in beating infertility. So the men are going to know that if I invent technology to make women have kids longer, they know there's so much money in that. So there's a lot of incentive to keep making the technology better if you have the money for it, right? But the challenge is most women aren't going to get that. And you're going to see women put on a pedestal. Like, for example, Tom Brady's ex-wife Giselle is having a kid in her 40s. Well, this woman's been thin her entire life. And she also has, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars. So she can afford to do like unlimited IVF. She's got the money, and poor women are going to think they can do that. It's not you. If you can't, or women like Megyn Kelly who could do it, or Anna I don't think Anna has kids, but they could hypothetically do it. And remember, even rich women take L's. I think Jennifer Aniston, she's one of the ones who kind of took an L on that front. So it's not even like all the rich women will get it. But, if you have 100 women, let's say, going for kids in their 40s, where before grandma was like, I'm done, I had 10 kids already. Again, it's going to be a weird world. We're going into weird territory.
Without fertility help. And we've just sort of gotten to this place on the right where the messaging to me is like, it's making me really uncomfortable. What do you make of it?
Well, it's always made me uncomfortable, especially because I think the best possible situation is a situation in which women get to decide, right? So if they decide they want to be stay-at-home mothers, I think it's important to have the economic conditions.
Yeah, and so again, she's saying we should get to decide. Well, you do. What is that? Now you got to decide to do what you're doing. But what you want to do is you want to make decisions and have people not judge you for it. Men understand this is not a possibility, right? If a guy wants to have 5 girlfriends, he knows the world is going to tell him he's a terrible person. Like, the women will shame him, other men will shame him. He knows that, and he says, fuck it, I'm fucking these hoes. He keeps going with it. He's like, have you ever guys met like a ruthless player? They do not care. They don't. They've been told they're doing it wrong their whole life. They've had girlfriends try to shame them, their family, the girl's family. No, there is nothing more stone cold than like a guy that's like juggled a bunch of women. But women haven't had to do this reality because the world kind of coddles us for bad decisions because they just bail us out. Now, and maybe I'll coddle even further. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? If you choose to have kids whenever. I mean, it's your life. It's your kid. If you raise a serial killer, just stay away from my kid, stay away from my family, right? But my point is this: women aren't used to having consequences, like the world judging them. But now women are going to be treated like men. Yep.
Conditions that allow for that to happen. And I have a lot of respect for stay-at-home moms. I agree with you. I think that's literally the most difficult job in the world.
Now, we got to stop saying that being a mother is the most difficult job in the world, okay? It's really not, all right? When men do, you know what's funny? When I hear about like being a parent from men and women, I'd like to say as a rule of thumb, when women say something is really difficult and hard, I can almost always guarantee it's not that difficult or hard. Like that's my rule of thumb, right? But men, if you ask them about having a kid, they're like, it's great. It's the best thing ever. I get so much joy out of fatherhood. It's not that I thought it was going to be so hard. It wasn't. Like that's the feedback I get. But from women, again, it's the same rhetoric. It's the most difficult job, really? Like a coal miner? Let me get this straight. Your job is more difficult than going under the ground and getting coal, right? Your job is more difficult than those guys that clean windows, right? And they're like on the side of a building, cleaning a window, risking their life, right? Loggers, that's the number one cause of death in the Midwest, being a logger. Your job is harder, okay? Watching a baby crying is more difficult than the men risking their lives to build this country, okay? Delusion. I mean, this is the thing. We say these things all the time, but there's no pushback because hell has no fury like a woman scorned. So we can just say dumb shit like 24/7 and nobody pushes back on us because they don't want to deal with women, right? I mean, it's like the nagging. Oh, the nagging, the crying, the lawsuits. It's like, God damn, it just never ends.
And it's important for kids to have that close relationship with their mother growing up, especially in like the formative years. But I do think that it's possible for mothers to work and still be great mothers.
Okay. It is possible, but let me give you the caveats. Here are jobs where I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. I actually do think YouTubers can do it, biased, right? But it has to be at home. You cannot be going on these, like when I see YouTubers that say they're good moms and they're going on these media tours, like you're going on all these different shows, traveling, someone else is watching your kid. It's not you. Teachers, I think that you can do it, not when the kid's young, but like, I don't see why you couldn't be a good mom and be a teacher. You have the same schedule as the kid. Right? There are work from home jobs, but everyone knows that's not what you mean. Like, do you know what I mean? Because if you guys were actually doing it all, you wouldn't have to rationalize it. Like Megyn Kelly going in every day at Fox News and going on all these big shows and being gone 10 hours a day. If your kid's not coming with you, where are they? Do you know what I mean? Like TV's at night. So like, I mean, when I went on Pierce Morgan, I went on at like 8 o'clock at night. So when the kid's like under 5, who's watching it? You know, like teenagers are a different story, right? I mean, teenagers don't even want to hang out with their parents. I mean, teenagers are like, I don't want to hang out with my parents. So I was like, I'm too cool, right? Now I beg them to hang out with me. It's like, oh, the tables have turned. But you guys see what I'm saying? But the women that are rationalizing it, it's because they get this criticism from their kids, and that's why they're mad. Because you never hear men rationalize doing it all, right? And there's a lot of really great single dads out there. I mean, single father homes turn out the same as 2-parent homes, pretty much. So what does that tell us? The men are doing it all. That's the hilarious thing. Men actually figure out how to do it all because they have a job, they watch the kid, and they figure out how to do it all. But the women have to keep marketing to everyone that they're doing it all. So if you have to tell me, it's like, if you have to tell me you're rich, are you really rich? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you have to tell me that you're making a lot of money, like, I should just be able to tell. And it's the same thing with these mothers. If you have to tell me that you're such a great mother, then why are you raising criminals, right? Why are your kids on OnlyFans? Right? I mean, these stats are coming from the women, not the men.
The thing is, a lot of women don't even have that choice. You get what I'm saying? Especially in this current economy with inflation. So
how many women said, hey, I'm okay with living in a small apartment. I'm okay with not living in the best neighborhoods, not going to the best schools. I'm okay with working part-time just so I can be home with the kids, right? I'll get a job from my laptop. I mean, guys, there's so many dumb jobs that like you don't do anything at. I mean, can we just be honest here? Can we be honest? In every company, 20% of the people do 80% of the work, right? Every company, that's how it is. So you could be one of the 80% of the people doing pretty much nothing. There's jobs available. And I'm trying to work with these women here, but they want the high flying careers. They want to go on all the shows. They want, it just is what it is.
I would love to live in a world where I could be a stay-at-home, housewife.
I know, but you still have to, would you give up your Botox, ladies? We know you wouldn't. And I'm not saying you should, right? What I'm saying is you can't accept the cost. Men will accept that. They're like, I have to work night shifts. I'm not going to be around. This is just what it is. Sorry, kid. And they don't try to rationalize their behavior because they know they're doing what they have to do. But women they rationalize it.
But it's just not realistic. We got to pay our bills and we both have to work. But I really do think
that's like the biggest cope. We have to pay for your expensive habits. Like that's really what it comes down to. I don't think kids are that expensive. I think I might be humbled. I may be humbled when I actually have a kid. But this is just my experience from talking to men versus women about their kids. When I talk to the women, it's like, oh, these kids are so expensive. Da, 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 da. When I talk to the men, it's like, yeah, not really. When I talk to the guys, I mean, they say it's a couple $100 a month because they're not really, their kid doesn't have, they can send their kid to public school. They're okay with them not doing the club sports, going to the best schools, living in the best neighborhood. They're like, I'll just raise the kid to be a good person and navigate this. But the women, it's like, they don't want anything to go wrong raising the kid. So they feel like, or they just want to look really good for their friends. I think we know which is more likely, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So what they do is they need the most expensive of everything. And then they claim they need this. Now, again, this is just my interpretation.
If we had that economic situation in place, a lot of women would choose to be stay-at-home mothers.
No, they wouldn't. Like, that's the biggest. They don't want to watch their kids. I mean, we have every indication. We said, women, do whatever you want. You're free of your husbands. You're free to do anything. Go do it. They said, we're going to abort. We're not going to have kids. We're going to push off motherhood as long as possible and throw my kids in daycare. I mean, we only are having 1 to 2 kids. So hypothetically, if you really wanted to, as a woman, right, if you want to have a kid in your 30s, you have a decade to save money. You have 10 years to put that in a fund, and here you go. Now you can be a stay-at-home mom. Or at least, part-time, something.
And it should be their choice. I don't think it's anyone's place to judge the decisions that are made.
Yeah, again, so this is, I want to make a choice that's better for me and not the kids, but I want nobody to judge that choice.
Made by any family, right? It's up to that family to decide what works best for them and whether or not they could afford the setup that they want to pursue.
But here's what's happening on the right. Young women, I talk to young conservative women all the time about their lives and their goals and, the things that they want. And what's happening is they can't find men who are maybe more conservative. Usually they're looking for somebody who is...
Yeah, so again, they can't find chads. There's a ton of simps. Just go to church. They're dying to give you their money. Okay, they're dying. I mean, just go to any Christian church. There is a group of men dying to give their money to subpar women. I mean, it's just... I've been alive too long for this, right? But here's the catch-22. They want men that are out of their league to commit. That's what they're saying.
Religious, like a lot of conservative women tend to be God-loving conservatives, and
when it benefits them, right? Because that's the catch. It's Christian women love God when it benefits them. So they love all the verses that say they can do whatever they want and control their husband, or they twist the words around to say that. So they obey when it's convenient, right?
They can't find a lot of young men who want to marry a working woman now. This is an actual problem that's coming up on the right. And to me, it's so sad because it's like, how did we get to the point where we're now telling...
Yeah, no. I mean, if you have a guy saying that he doesn't want to date you because you're working, guys don't care. I mean, if anything, some guys are going to view that as it's better than you being in the club, right? At least she's doing something. But it's that we've made the career our identity, right? So the guy's going to look at that and say, where's the time for me? Are we going to hang out? When are we going to, what are we going to do, you know? And yeah, that's the challenge.
Telling young, conservative, amazing women that they're not attractive if they also work.
Again, it's the traits that you get from working, right? It's not, oh, you're unattractive if you work, right? It's the traits and thinking it means something and the ego it gives us. We just think we're so awesome because we got the easy female money.
If they choose to, let's say, do what I'm doing and what you're doing, and like,
yeah, see, they're going to make it about them because they're offended.
Get their voice out there. But I'll stick with me just because I think conservatives listening to this will like the thought of another Megyn Kelly voice.
Megyn, you've been married like 3 times. This is what annoys me, okay? You could point to your life as an example of why we're marrying a working woman doesn't work. You know what I mean? And I'm not faulting her. Look, we've all had failed relationships. It just is what it is. But if anything, you're saying this is, how could this cause any problems? But you were married 3 times.
Been coming. Well, why wouldn't we want that? Why would we take somebody who's talented in this field and really wants to make a difference and have the messaging?
Because to raise the kid, it's so simple. It's you can't, it's just, what's the priority? Is the priority you or the kid?
To her be, you're really not that valuable unless you give it up and go into the home and only have a family and only.
Could you just can you get 2 years out of you? Can we get 2 years where you don't, and you're going to live to be 80. 2 years isn't the end of the world. 2 years to watch your children. Tough sell, right? Tough sell.
Raise a family. And not only are we sending her that message, but young men are actually believing that.
Yeah. So again, women think, because our preferences can be programmed, right? We'll date a guy because it's trendy. We'll do it. Men's preferences are not programmed. So she's seeing this the way a woman would see it, because women will start dating a certain type of guy, and then women date Pete Davidson, then everyone's dating Pete Davidson or his lookalike, right? Men aren't like that. They like young, hot, busty women, big tits, big boobs, and a symmetrical face. It's really that simple, right? Obviously, they want the niceness, but that's got to come second. There's too many of you fellas in divorce court where you completely overlooked all of the personality part, So you're not going to convince me that you guys pick character. Get out of here. There's a reason women are flying to Mexico to get some BBL from some doctor that's on sale. You know what I mean?
They're actually believing it, especially on the right, because the trad mom has gotten so popular, and it's
yeah, I mean, the trad moms are just cosplaying. They can't really be trad.
No, if we do that, we're not going to have any strong conservative or right-leaning women to provide a role model for younger conservative women who, and there's nothing to apologize for here, don't necessarily want to spend all their 20s and their 30s getting married and having kids, or can't. They just weren't able to meet somebody, and definitely don't need to be.
Yeah, so again, when we say we weren't able to meet somebody, and I had this, I'll be honest, in my early 20s, I had this thought. And what really was happening was I wasn't prioritizing it. We don't, right? And because if we really wanted to meet, this is how I know. If a girl thinks she's above dating apps, I know she's not serious about meeting somebody. Okay? Because really, you got 3 choices as a woman. Men aren't really going to approach you. Men do approach, but it's in the right environments, right? But you have to send the signals first, because we've scared these guys, right? It's never been normal in my lifetime for men to approach in the daytime. So you either got to make going to the club and the bar as a priority. Now the trad cons will say, you'll never meet your husband there. That's so not true. A third of the people I know met their significant other at a bar. The alcohol's going, so you either but if you're not a drinker, that can also get you fat. Then you got to get the dating apps. There's some girls that just do coffee every day till they meet a guy they like. Some girls do, or some women do dinner. But you know, the guys, again, you're going to have to weigh this out because you don't want to get fat, and going on too many foodie dates is the best way to get 20 pounds. I'll tell you that. Or you start DMing guys, or you start posting like there has to be some strategy. And the easiest way is the dating apps. Every dating coach that actually helps women get married will tell you that, because, you know, most women are socially awkward. They're not really going to have the balls to approach like men. Or you start going through your friends and family and asking around. But again, like, women don't want to take the ego hit of having to do work, or we don't want to do the work, or like we don't want to miss brunch to go on a date with a guy, right? That's really what's happening. Women want to hang out with their college friends on the weekend instead of downloading Hinge and going on a dating app. Or does that make sense? And like, you're not really going to meet a guy going out in a group. Like, I mean, you can, it's just not really like dating coaches for men will tell men to avoid that, to only go for women in sets of twos. Those are the real hoes. You know, so again, but I can tell women aren't serious if there's no strategy. There's no thought process put into the type of guy they want. Like men, if they don't meet a woman, again, they might not have put the time. Women are delusional, so it's that. But they also might not have put the time into like meeting, like going out and meeting women, approaching, date. Like, I mean, it's like impossible, but you guys get the idea. But women won't do what men have always done. Like men will be like, oh, all the hot women live there. I'm going to get an apartment there. Men will be like, oh, all the hot women are there. Are they like men that are skaters? Let me buy a skateboard. But women won't put on a dress, right? It's like we'll get tattoos and make ourselves uglier instead of cuter, right?
Shamed over it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I totally agree with you. I'm of two minds of this, though, because if you are a young man and you know what you want and you think you have the earning power to literally carry the entire family financially, well, then I guess wait around until you find the right woman for you. But I think most women, not all, but most women, even conservative women, think it's important to have some level of financial independence, right? I mean, you never know if your marriage is going to go perfectly well. Things could fall apart. And if you haven't been in the job market at all for a long time, it's going to be difficult for you to get back in. So look, it really depends on the guy. And if he really has a problem with his wife working, well, then that's on him. And I think he's actually going to have some difficulty finding a partner. But there's so many factors to consider, including the financial difficulty of living in a single income household where you're...
Again, translation. I have a lot of expensive habits. I want Equinox membership. I want Botox. I want heavy makeup. I want my hair cut done. And I expect you to pay for it. Yeah.
Trying to raise kids. And look, I also think whether these guys want to believe it or not, when you have a stay-at-home wife, I've seen too many instances of this resentment building because for whatever reason, guys tend to think that, oh, well, she's staying home. She's not out there working as hard as I am. She's just home raising the kids.
Because we're not, right? It's pretty much, that's true. Yeah.
Kids, she has a comfortable life. I'm providing.
I mean, that's like, because a lot of housewives are lazy because they get the clout of being I know you're like, Pearl, you're attacking everybody. I come for everybody. But there is a category. There's good housewives, right? But there's a category of ones who are kind of lazy because they don't want to work. For example, Hillary Crowder on paper was a housewife that had a nanny working 60 hours a week. What was this bitch doing? Do you know what I mean? Like what were you doing with your time?
For her, this like resentment starts to build. And I've seen it all over the place.
It's usually only building if you're lazy, right? That's
I've seen it in context, like my own family.
Like men don't want lazy women, right? They don't want career women, but they don't want a woman that just does nothing all day because we just get up to shit when we're bored.
I've seen it, outside of my family. And so I think they don't really know what they're asking for here, but I could be wrong. Who knows? And I agree with you. I think that it is important to have strong female voices on both sides of the political aisle.
Is it? I mean, I know this is hypocritical, but who cares what women have to say? Do you know what I mean? Like, do we really care as a society what women have to say? It's like, shake the tits, ladies. I know what you're here for.
And I think they could really be hurting the conservative movement by essentially,
back to tone policing,
banning women from taking part in conservative media. I mean,
again, translation, I want the benefits of having an awesome media job without the criticism that comes with it. Look, I have 3-hour hit pieces made on me. I have 3-hour essay videos dedicated to criticizing every part of my life. And do I complain? No, because I get to talk for a living. This is awesome.
You're one of the strongest conservative voices, female voices out there. So if you didn't exist, I don't know. I just don't think the conservative message would be as powerful.
Well, thank you for that. I think they'd be fine. But I do think that there's a strain, especially of young women, who appreciate seeing a strong conservative woman who's had a voice in this lane.
Okay, well, you guys get the idea. So again, I like Megyn Kelly. I kind of like Anna Kasparian, but this is a lot of cope, right? COPE, cope. And it is what it is. I don't really have a problem with women working, but I don't really think we need this whole I can do it all culture, because if you were really a good mom, you wouldn't really have to convince us. You would just be it, right? We would see through your actions. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.